Hello, Guru Nation. Welcome back to another video of clinical research. This one's sponsored by the CRC Academy. We have two special guests on, Ashley Margo and Monica Quitiva, both co-founders of Latino in Clinical Research. You're looking at half of the Latino in Clinical Research co-founders. We're missing Dr. Al, Judy, and Chris.
Mhm.
But it's half, 50% better than nothing. We
Yeah.
got all 50% of us here, but we're not here to talk about Latinos in clinical research, although go on the links below and subscribe because you don't want to miss out, because we just gave a scholarship to a CRA Academy student, Naomi, last month. Who knows what's in store next month? I know what's in store. We know what's in store, but you guys don't. We gotta like not be nosy right now. You guys will find out later if you subscribe. You gotta go subscribe. So, anyways, in the Ashley Margot has been doing CV services for the CRA and CRC Academy for about a year now.
Mhm.
At least from the students I talked to, 100% got jobs from the CVs you've made, which is
Awesome.
unbelievable. You're batting 1,000.
Okay.
Um, so
Yeah.
first of all, how? First of all, wow, and then second of all, how?
How,
How
how,
did
how?
you get this done? How?
That's the
And
question.
What's the magic? People watching right now, they're saying, okay, well, what did Ashley do? I mean, as much as you can, and we're going to talk about interviews and LinkedIn and just, I know we can't go in depth like you have. We've done videos with you going in depth.
Mhm.
They can go watch that, but like overview, macro overview, motivational, that kind of stuff, Ashley Marco. Let's go.
Well, I will say that I think what differentiates me from, other, I mean, not all, right? Because I know it's very clear I have not seen every service out there for this, but from what I've seen, a lot of them are either already at a higher level position, or they have, HR, or they're part of that like talent acquisition specialist background, which is, great. But I think what differentiates me is that I actually went through these processes. I went through a lot of, accomplishments and failures. I took notes, and this wasn't just as of recent. This was continuous since I started working since I was 19. And so I realized how, once I wanted to get into this industry, I had to make sure that I put my best foot forward, and I did all the research that I could. And the response was extremely quick. And then I remember you telling me, Dan, after we met in Austin, how that was pretty interesting. How I got interviews so quickly, given that my background wasn't as extensive as
Yeah,
people that normally get it.
I knew something was different then during that after that meeting because you talked like in such high level about the search engine and the algorithms. I was like, this girl's gonna get hired like before I leave town. I was only there for 3 days. So yeah, it was obvious that once I was waiting for you to actually do it for yourself, get
Mhm.
the remote site monitor position. And then I was like, you know what? Why don't you help us teach our CRC Academy students how to do this? Why don't you help teach our CRA Academy students do this? And now we're adding that service to the CRC Academy. So everyone in the CRC Academy gets it done automatically now, your resume, if you graduate. In the CRA Academy, I'm doing it because we have an internship with a breast cancer, so it's a little more specific. But in the CRA Academy, we do have students that hire you
Mhm.
separately to do their resume as well. So in the
Mhm.
CRC Academy, it is a lower price point of a course, but you do get Ashley's services. In the CRA Academy, we haven't incorporated it yet because I'm doing the CVs. So, but you still can if you want to. So, what like in the last year of working with our students, what have you learned? What's the biggest misconceptions regarding someone's CV or resume?
For sure. Just for those are out there, I also do have clients that are outside the academies, but my most come from the academies, obviously, because they get that class with me. But I would say the most, there's a few things. One is confidence. Even from people that have great backgrounds, they lack confidence. They're unsure of themselves. And they need that person to come and say, hey, you're doing great. You just need to tweak this and tweak that, and just be aware of their strengths and what actually how those strengths can be tweaked into what these positions are looking for, right? Again, this comes with having guidance and things like that. So of course, with me helping them or assisting them with this, I can showcase to them in different examples as to how those strengths can correlate to these positions in research, and not necessarily just CRA and CRC, but other positions, right? And so giving them that insight and that discussion, because honestly, at the end of the day, it's the fact of resources. Sometimes we don't have those people to speak with about these questions. Sometimes we do have people that we have contacts with, but limited, and also for other things. So we don't want to sit with them for like 30 minutes, an hour, and say, hey, can I ask you all these questions that I have about my background and this specific position I'm looking for? So that's one. Another thing is, you know, I don't see people understanding how your resume is structured, as well as having some uniqueness to it, how important that is, especially when you're going up against multiple people and a very booming industry. And also because you may come out and you may even be a CRA that has a bunch of experience. You may be a CRC, or you may even be a nurse that has all this clinical background. But if you have a resume that is poorly grammared, poorly structured, and also doesn't showcase it the way of your strengths that the research industry is looking for, because it's very different from
Yeah,
clinical to research.
you're right.
Um, you
I
know,
actually read a tweet from someone we all know well, Lindsay
mhm,
Summers, who's the best job recruit, the only clinical research job recruiter I turn to for when students need to meet somebody. And she posted a tweet on Twitter. She said, there's nothing that turns away job recruiter more than poor formatting on a resume, or typos, or grammar. And actually, somebody else told me in Monica the same thing.
mhm,
She's not a job recruiter, but someone who's in charge of hiring.
yes,
Literally said the same thing to us. So two people that we respect said the same things Ashley's saying, but it goes beyond just formatting.
yeah, it
Uh,
definitely does.
and this is what Ashley actually brings to the table. But how does somebody put, because everybody has different skill set, right? We have foreign trained physicians who immigrate to the US and they want to be coordinators. Or we have people who were financial analysts, maybe, or economics majors that want to be CRA or in house CRAs. All those jobs, I mean, you could pick at random whatever you want outside of clinical research or even in clinical research. All those jobs have skills, unique skills. So, how do you highlight that and make it fit in the context of clinical research? Because essentially, that's what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And so, and that's again why I do the one-on-one, or like the in-depth, because I can say whatever I want here, but it comes down to you as a person, what you want to do, where your path is, or where you're trying to direct yourself, right? Because you can be, for instance, a foreign PI and or foreign physician coming to the U.S., and you could want to be going into a clinical research coordinator or clinical data coordinator, research coordinator, excuse me, and your strengths that you're going to want to focus in on as far as what you do for CRA route are going to be different for what you want if you're doing in clinical research data coordinator, right? You're going to want to focus more on the analysis aspect and your critical thinking for data coordinator. And you're going to want to focus more on the fact that you have, say foreign language, you also have a lot of clinical and healthcare background and physical exam and acute care specialty background when you're going to CRA, because your focus is going to be on auditing those types of documents and speaking with PIs, right? And so, again, it comes down to everybody individualistically. It's not a one size fits all thing at all whatsoever. Um, However, if you break it down a certain way, it can, depending on the examples you give, etc. But yeah, so I guess the thing to focus on really is sitting down with yourself and understanding, okay, this is the position I want, and if I don't get that position, what are the sub positions that I'm willing to take, and how can I formulate myself on paper to fit that, but not just your resume. And that's another thing I tell everybody. I've had clients that, because I also do mock trial services, I've had clients that have had all these interviews, but they never make it past the hiring manager.
You
So at
do
that point, it's
mock interview services?
yes,
Okay.
yes, I do. And I do it based on the screening call, talent acquisition specialist, phase one, and then the hiring manager, phase two. Each questions you might be asked the same questions, but each answer you're giving is going to kind of come off differently, and you want to make it come off differently, and you know have a different approach for each person because they're all going to be looking for different things based off of their position.
You see,
Or at least
Monica, we're lucky to have Ashley as CRC
Yes,
Academy.
I'm here just like
We
thinking
don't
this
even need
there is
to
such
we don't
an
need to learn we
strategist.
don't need to learn any of this for ourselves because Ashley's just gonna do it for the
yeah.
CRC Academy students. Um, so LinkedIn's very important. You
Yeah.
focus a lot of your time on LinkedIn when you audit somebody's LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And I have no idea how to run my LinkedIn, and but I put content out there.
Hmm.
Now, not everybody is extrovert, and for those who really know me, I'm actually not an extrovert. I'm an introvert that pretends to be extrovert, but it works because I make a lot of content. Other people are not. Like they're introverted and they say, "Hey, you know what? I don't want to make content. I don't want to post things," which is my advice. I'm always like, "Well, if you don't want to make a video, comment on people's stuff or like or share with a comment. That's a lot easier."
Hmm.
What's your approach with someone's LinkedIn? Because not everyone's gonna make videos and post it every day.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, even professionals that have been in the industry for a long, long time don't utilize their entire profile, which is mistake number one. There's so many tabs to go through. The more tabs you use, the higher you are in the algorithm base and how much more you're liked uh, within LinkedIn's AI algorithm. Um, as far as utilizing content, getting more exposure, again, it comes down to how well you can build your network, and your network is going to depend on how well you build your profile. I mean, it doesn't necessarily fully based on that, but if you want to supercharge the way I did it, I think in 2 to 3 months, and then within 6 months, I already had I don't know how many, like 1,000 some following. Um, you want to utilize all that
You're already
because
at that, right? Let me go look at your
yeah,
profile. I'm gonna
I
do an
don't I don't know
audit of your
exactly how.
LinkedIn as we speak.
It's not fully completed. I've been so busy with CRC and CRA Academy. I mean,
Well, you don't need it at this moment.
yeah,
Let's see. But that's the thing. Investing in your LinkedIn is kind of like going to the bank when you need a loan. The best
yeah,
time to ask for a loan is when you don't need one, right?
yes, yeah, exactly.
Co-founder, social investor. I like this. I gotta put that on there too.
Yes, you do.
Austin, Texas.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I'm looking at it now. So yeah, AM approach. Oh, you're almost at 2,000.
yeah,
Actually,
and
for whomever, well, I don't know how we can track that. Can you track who's number 2,000? Because you're 11
uh,
away.
I'm 11 away. Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay,
I
that's
was gonna give
awesome.
away a book to your 2,000 follower, but we have to like actually track it to make sure it's accurate.
Oh,
Right. I need to figure
wow.
that out. I've actually never looked at the tracking, just because, again, for me, it was more about um, making sure
Well,
that
I'll unfollow
the
you and then I'll be number 2,000.
okay.
Like, so get it. Let's get
I
Ashley out.
that's good.
I actually, now that you're mentioning that, in the last year, I had like probably 1,000 followers.
Oh,
Now I
let's look
have
at Monica's.
3,207.
Wow, Moni.
Look
That's
at Monica go, and
awesome.
I like your header with the clinical research circle. Um,
That was suggested by our most professional Ashley.
really? I need to put that
Yeah,
too. I don't
Yes.
even
I
know what my header is. Let's see. I need to
did a
change mine.
review with Monica and her
Oh, mine
husband
is the
already.
guru thing. Okay, I gotta keep that. Yeah. So, wow. Okay. So LinkedIn. So it's not like overrated.
No, no, no. If anything, it's the new thing. I would say Facebook. I mean, of course, depending on the business and all that stuff, right? But as far as professional development and having a clear goal, I think, you know, LinkedIn is where it's at, and that's
Okay.
it. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon, especially if LinkedIn picks up on, that same type of formatting that Clubhouse has. Once that, if that comes out, I think that that's going to put
Like the
LinkedIn on a
audio.
whole, yeah, and I think that's going to put LinkedIn on a whole other map. And remember, you want to have the best following, the best network, because
Yeah.
ultimately, when these things come out, if you're following those, the innovators, the leaders, the people that are creating the content and all of that good stuff, you're going to have direct access to that in your network, on your event screen. If you have only friends, family, coworkers, it's fine, but you're going to get, your algorithm's going to get swayed, you know?
Yeah,
And
why
so,
why even have those, like, that's the one network where who cares if they're your friends or your family on LinkedIn? I mean,
yeah,
sure, have it to get your numbers up, but it doesn't matter unless those people are going to
mm-mm,
have a job for you or a
yeah,
business opportunity for you, because at the end of the day, that's what LinkedIn is for.
yeah. And
Um,
to be
And
honest,
basically,
even, I'm so sorry, I want to go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead.
So to be honest, even numbers really don't matter because, you know, so long as you have, say, a content and you have a following of a CEO or somebody that, you know, likes your content, his following is going to determine the activity you have. So
mhm.
as long as you're following and have good followers, like of good backgrounds of within your industry and that are part, again, the leaders, the innovators, you're going to get seen regardless, you know, so you don't have to worry about who's following you. All you have to worry about is creating your space, even if you don't have a business, creating your space, making a place for yourself on this, you know, virtual form, and making yourself a part of the network. You know.
And the LinkedIn is basically like an electronic or digital CV available for the whole world.
Yes,
So
yes, it is. I mean, I've had multiple job offers that I didn't ever even apply to that just came to me because they were skimming through profiles, you know, and they do that. I've spoken to a lot of, so Lindsay is like an extremely high level recruiter. I've spoken to more of the beginner, second stage recruiters that tend to get a lot of, you know, the third tier, the third party, you know, applicants where they're searching for and maybe sites, lower sites or maybe
No,
like
no, we're
hospitals
top
and things like
tier
that.
at CRC Academy. We're
Yeah, no,
top
you guys are
tier.
top tier. Yes, no, for
Top
sure.
tier, CRC Sierra. No, I'm just kidding. Talk
Yeah.
a little bit about motivation though, because and this is nice. All this, have a nice resume made by Ashley, have a nice LinkedIn profile. But there's something to be said. Here's what I've discovered in the CRA Academy, because I'm more involved with the internship there. Monica's more involved with CRC Academy, with all aspects of it. But in the CRA Academy, what I've noticed, and I'm sure it's the same in CRC, the people who tend to get hired first are the ones who don't find excuses for, hey, I can't find this link. I can't. I mean, sometimes it's legit. You didn't get the link, but
Yeah.
most of the time it's not. Most of the time, you're just looking for someone else to do what you're supposed to be doing, keeping yourself organized. Speak a little bit to the ambition, motivation. There's some people, and you can tell within 5 minutes talking to
Oh,
them,
yeah.
they're going to get hired. I mean, how do we know? Monica and I, and I'm sure you too, but Monica and I do these calls together sometimes with people, and we can tell in 5 minutes this person's gonna have no problem getting hired, and others it's like they're gonna need a lot of work, they're gonna need a lot of polish from Ashley's resume service. Why? I'm trying to find out why. It's not
So
simple.
no, it's not simple, and you're exactly right. Like I can already tell via, you know, emails right before I even my schedule my interview sometimes because, you know, they'll wait till last minute to send me everything to where I have to say, can you please send it? And so, you know, at that point, it's like, okay, you know, if this is for you, this is not for me. I've had clientele come to me, you know, offering to pay me extra to write their resume. And I said, no, I, I'm perfectly fine. This is something I do on the side to help. Yes, I charge, but I do it to help. I'm not a resume writer. I don't want you needing other people. I want to teach you. I want you to learn so that once I'm done with what I do, you don't need to look for help. Or if you do, it's on a surface level. You know, you have a better understanding as to what you need to do, as to what you need to look for, and how to easily assess yourself as you're going through your careers, because you're always going to be needing to doing your resume. So, um, you know, it's important that, I mean, everyone says, you know, don't give up. I think it's very corny, but it's the truth. You know, you are going to
Don't
be
give up,
going,
guys.
yeah, you know, you're going to be getting a lot of rejection. You're also going to have people not respond to you in months, and that has nothing to do with you, especially if, again, you have somebody break down your strengths. 'Cause I don't necessarily focus on the weaknesses. I look at the strengths and I see how we can shine on that, right? after my call, I'm, at the point they're like, oh, I feel more confident. Thank you for letting me know. I didn't realize that, I could be looked at this way. I always looked at that as a negative. And so, sometimes our own perception of ourselves and what we come with is very skewed, as opposed to when you have somebody that's already in the industry that's gone through the process and can say, no, 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 you can look at it this way, or you can look at it that way. And so long as you showcase it in the interview accordingly, you're going to be fine. So
So,
mhm.
oh, because
So
I
you're
have. Oh, go ahead, Monica.
no, no, no. I interrupt. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Zoom with Zoom it's tough. Don't worry. What I was gonna ask is somebody might be watching now and saying, okay, well, from your experience over the last year of doing like I don't know how many CVs, and 100% got hired from what I know, which is
Yeah.
saying something, and Monica too. So okay, it's
Yes.
close to 100%. What is the top two things, the most common one or two things that people are not doing and that you fix?
Oh, and that I fix. Okay. The format, it's horrible. I mean, even people that I'm personally surprised of, that have one had, I think, 10 to 12 years experience in the industry already. And I was just surprised. Even, doctors here from the US as well. I mean, so formatting is everything. I cannot say that enough. You can go online, there's free links, find different formats, take the time to organize it, because the presence you give on paper is going to speak thousands of words about you in person. So if it looks disorganized, you are not going to be wanted in the industry, especially if you can't spell right,
That makes
especially if you're,
sense.
yeah, especially if you
The
can't do
job
the
recruiter's
grammar.
thinking this person didn't even get a good template. You can get those for free.
Yeah, exactly. And even then I tell my clientele, like, this is just, I'm giving you a basic format template. Go and make it your own. Add color to it, go and find something else and just transfer what we've created onto that. Make it you. Now, does everybody do that? Not so much. But again, it comes down to what they want to do, and I did my job. But um, formatting is everything. The next thing I would say is, it's very robotic. The way that they talk about themselves, and that's why I believe very heavily in the cover letter. I know a lot of professionals in hiring departments don't really care too much about cover letter, but I believe very strongly that the cover letter is an opportunity to make up for any fumbles that your resume might have provided.
Yeah,
And it also gives a slightly less professional insight, but not in a bad way, more of a personal insight as to you, as to what you're doing here at this moment and why you're coming to them. And I think that's perfect, very very important personally. Like when I worked in HR a long time ago, I
I
despise the
actually
fact
worked in
that,
HR, so she knows what
yes.
she's talking about here.
Yeah, so I worked under a lady that was super amazing, very very meticulous, and she was the head of hospital administration. So she was very very on point about how she looked at things. And but yeah, going back to what I was saying, it's when I would look at resumes, I personally hated doing it because they all looked the same. There was no difference other than them listing the different jobs that they've had. I couldn't tell the difference on personality, and that for me mattered at the end, especially when I had, 5, 6 people that were at the competing level, right? So at that point I was like, well, before I have to pick through people, I'd like to know a little bit more about why they're coming here. Is it just because they just want a job? Is there something that's motivating them? Is it personal? Does their personality seem to fit with what person that I personally like to work with, my team would like to work with? And those little things are important. And if you can get that through, not just your resume cover letter, and also on your LinkedIn, this is the third tier that's super important. um, it kind of solidifies that and says to that person, like, okay, yes, I think this is just a good fit. Let's see if it works.
What about, I don't know, if somebody is a member of Latinos in Clinical Research, no matter their ethnicity, should they put that on their resume?
Yes. Now, if they have a very very, very heavy background, of course, and they're already involved with Latinos in clinical research, I would, of course, tell them to adjust it to make it fit their 2 pages. Um, But yeah, I think it's extremely important, being involved in an organization, especially with a very good mission, and not
And a
just general
voluntary
mission.
organization.
Yeah, voluntary organization, and with the mission behind it, because you're already trying to contribute as a person, just involving yourself in a community organization. But for something that's focused on a very particular mission that needs to be addressed in the industry, it shows that you are, a trailblazing, right? So I
Hmm.
think that that speaks a lot to leadership, to personality, humanitarianism, and all sorts of things. Especially if you have a very meticulous hiring manager, they're going to look at that as a plus.
How about if somebody speak another language? Should they mention that there?
That is huge, very, very huge. And again, to Latinos in clinical research, personally, right? Because part of the reason why I'm also involved is I'm Latina. I don't speak 100% great Spanish. I
You're
wear it with
very good.
pride.
You're very
And
good.
I think when I mean, well, in my family, I'm like the weakest link. But um, it's you get to learn from the organization, and also it's showing that you're taking initiative. So if you're not necessarily Latino, you don't know Spanish, you're taking the initiative to immerse yourself in this uh,
Yeah.
population and get to know, right? Because you want to also be able to communicate and be well versed, and also just be open, right? Especially if you're going to be working for a major CRO or sponsor.
Yeah, the bilingual thing, good point, Monica. Bilingual is a very
It's super huge.
especially Spanish. I mean, and it
Mhm.
all obviously depends on the area you're in, but
Yeah.
Spanish is huge everywhere
Hmm.
in the country.
Yeah.
The
Actually, all you
language
got
is,
to do is practice. You just got to do the jump on
I
the
know.
Latino and Clinical Research Spanish interview podcast. Even I jumped on it. I did okay.
Yeah, we're doing one tomorrow, so
For sure, I will be
Maybe
there.
yes.
I'll be in Mexico tomorrow. I'll be in
I will
Mexico tomorrow.
I will be there. No, those other ones is because work and stuff. Right, time
Yeah.
frames kind of don't click, but definitely I do plan on being involved more in the Spanish videos. We have a lot coming down the pipeline
So
with Monica. Judy.
as we wrap up, there's two things to getting a job, right? There's getting your resume noticed,
Hmm.
and which is or getting you noticed, not your resume. You.
Hmm.
I let me step back because my mind's going too fast right now. Uh I was talking to a higher up at a drug company last week,
Hmm.
and they were saying that the amount of comments they receive, like or likes or shares when they post something on LinkedIn, is completely disproportionate to the number of emails they get because they're on clinicaltrials.gov or people know or just messages in their LinkedIn.
Hmm.
So they almost notice it more when you're doing like where less people go, right?
Yes,
So if not so many people are commenting, you need to look at which companies it is that you want to work for and start commenting on the decision makers' posts. Don't be
exactly.
fake about it. There's a fine line. Like, but I'm sure if you've been to a cocktail party, you can find interest in any conversation. If you really want to, you can get interested. I mean, I could walk into a party right now, people are talking about like violin. I have no interest in it, but I can like act like I do. Like when they say something, I can say, okay, well, what do you actually do in this case? I mean, I can kind of find some level of interest.
Hmm.
That's like
Blend.
an extreme
Blends, good word.
that's an extreme example. But like if you're on LinkedIn and you're in life sciences, you should have common uh hobbies or interests. So
Yeah.
it's not that hard to make a comment, share, drop your 2 cents, but more people are just spamming emails. Why is that the case?
Um, because again, it's not. It's very about um what I want, what I need. It's not about how can I help or how can I give and how can I do. And I think that's what differentiates people big time immediately. And so,
Hmm.
again, one of the biggest things I hear at the end of my LinkedIn review every time, it never fails. Out of all my clients, it's still always the same. Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot of information. I had no idea. Like, yes, it's a lot. And almost always they say that's going to be a lot of work. I'm like, yes, most people won't do it. But if you
Hmm.
do it, you're going to be that 1% that gets more than the other
You do the
99%.
abnormal
Yeah.
abnormal
Yeah.
results. get
for abnormal people,
require
but like in a
abnormal
positive way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
abnormal
Yeah.
Yeah, the,
results get require abnormal effort.
I mean,
yeah,
honestly,
it's like
that's why I'm here right now. That's exactly
yeah,
why I'm here right now.
basically Ashley is teaching how to fish. She's not giving the fish. So
Exactly. I don't like giving fish.
Who
I
doesn't
mean,
like
because
to receive the fish?
yeah.
You know, I want to fish like for a meal, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
But
because the thing
but
is,
but
the
even
thing
better knowing how to fish so you can eat all your life.
yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
and it helps me too. Because I mean, if I were just to write the resume, what would end up happening for each client? If I wrote the resume for them and did everything, what would happen is if something didn't happen, I would have probably 3 times more emails, questions, and spamming on my
Yeah,
LinkedIn messaging
yeah.
asking, well, why is this not happening? Why not this not working? Instead of me teaching you and saying and getting maybe 1 or 2 questions and saying, look, remember what we spoke about? This is why. Go and
Yes.
do this, remember? And so pretty
And
much I don't get any questions. I never get follow-up emails because I cover everything. And at
It's
that
very
point it's
thorough.
very
I
thorough
know
and
where
it's
I
up to
was
them.
going with that though. Okay, so if the point of you having a CV, cover letter, LinkedIn is to get noticed, to get to the interview.
Hmm.
If 100 people are emailing the hiring manager and only 5 are commenting on the hiring manager, the same human being,
Hmm.
LinkedIn post, which would you think you get more attention, right?
The hiring
the
manager, hands
obviously
down.
Exactly.
the
And so
Um,
now the next step is once you're in the interview, what do you do? So it's almost like 2 steps to get it. It's like a 2-step process to get hired. Get the attention. So now you got your opportunity. And now what are you going to do with it? And that's really the now what are you going to do with it is what we teach in the CRC Academy, the CRA Academy. What did you learn during your internship? What did you actually do? Those are the talking points for your why are you a member of Latino Clinical Research? Those are
exactly.
your talking points. But to get to the interview, all this stuff that you're talking about is important.
And I think it's very much comes down to and it's just being real because I mean at one point I was there.
Keeping it real, like
Um,
Marjorie.
yeah, keeping it real like
yes.
Marjorie. It's I don't think people like knowing, maybe not all people, right? But for the most part, I feel that knowing that it really is in their hands, their capability, their future, and what can happen, putting that much pressure on somebody and saying it's not about who gives you things or who hands it to you or what resources and opportunity. Yes, that plays a certain part, but I was in a very rural area. I had no connections. I was alone in a city. I had nobody in clinical research until I searched, came across Dan. I kept, bothering you. I
Yes.
also like went out of my way to do things, and so I created that scenario for myself. And now I'm here. I'm now a business partner with y'all in 2 different ventures. And so, I mean,
That's crazy.
yeah, and
That's
it's less than a
crazy.
year,
And it happened
about
because
a year.
I was going to Austin and I said, anyone want to meet up? I'm gonna be in Austin. And Ashley was like, there
And
was like 3 people. And
I
Ashley
was
was
even
like,
nervous to do it. I was like, I don't think I want to do it. Like, I'm so nervous.
there were three
Um,
people in Austin, and Ashley was like the only one that was like, yeah, I can do it tonight. And I was like, all right, because yeah, tonight's like the only day I have.
yeah, and I actually rushed from work, changed super fast, and like took off and, didn't get home. I hadn't eaten anything that whole day. And I was like, I don't care. I need to make it on time. Like, I wanted that connection, right? And so
Committed.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I understood the importance of even if I just got to speak with you for a minute. You know what I mean? And so,
You
That's
expose
crazy.
yourself.
We
yes,
ended up
this
spending like 2 days together. My
yeah,
wife,
exactly. We
your
asked you guys
partner,
out to
your
go part.
boyfriend, and
Yeah,
yeah, we went to go get beers in Austin,
yeah,
and yeah, it
it
was a
was
good time.
nice. Yeah,
It
and so
was
that's what I'm saying.
similar
Like,
for me.
yeah, and so it's like the CRC
Yeah.
Academy, the CRA Academy, you're providing them all the information they need. All they need to do is do it, pass. Okay.
Hmm, hmm.
I'm providing my services, do it, finish, implement. That's it. And everything is history,
So that speaks to
Yeah,
the ambition too. So the
yeah.
yeah,
yeah, I think we covered on a lot of things. Anything else,
Mhm.
Monica? You wanna?
yeah. We're giving them all the tools they need. Like I always tell the students, we're giving you a solid foundation. If you don't jump from there, it's
the
you're
hustle,
you're
the hustle
exactly
sold separately.
Yeah.
The hustle
exactly
sold
For
separately.
real, yeah. Honestly,
exactly.
honestly what
So
it is. I mean, I was on vacation in Colorado. My boyfriend was like, stop being on the computer. And I said no, because when I come back from vacation, I want to be busy with interviews. Every day for at least 3 hours, I was pushing out interviews in different states that I was willing to move to outside of where I
Wow.
was at. Yeah, because I didn't care. I knew what I wanted, and I was willing to adjust. I went as far as looking at certain areas that I'd be willing to move to if it was doable for me to live there financially. Like, I was doing everything because I knew that if I just had the opportunity and stayed there a year, that I'd be able to increase my pay, and all sorts of things in my life would change. I could move back to where I wanted to move to. That's me wanting and doing everything I needed to do to make it happen for myself. And it happened. It took a little while. It took about 6 months, but it happened. And that's, I don't care how long it took. It was worth it.
That's right.
And now I'm here. So, I
Exactly.
like to give that to the clients, and
Two generalists right here, and two of my favorite people to talk to
yeah.
in this space, and that's why we're in business together. You got to
Yeah.
be in business with people you like. Imagine being in business with someone you don't like. I've been there. It's not fun, let me tell you.
The five top people you're around the most determines a lot about your future. So
That's
I told
true.
you guys, I said,
Oh,
the minute that
wow.
I linked with you guys, my career quantum leaped within like 3 years just by involving myself with y'all. A year in, and I'm already doing things I didn't even think I was gonna
Well,
do.
our
So
involvement with you too. I mean, you're so organized with the minute meetings and all. Ashley's on another level. Oh my God.
Yeah, I always thought I was organized until I met Ashley.
I never thought I was
Yeah.
organized, so that's not a problem.
thank y'all.
Yeah, so I want to mention that Ashley is going to be part of the CRC Academy team officially for May
Yes.
class. So we're very
When
excited.
when is the May
And
class starting, Monica? End of May, early June?
yeah,
Okay. Okay. So it gives
we're
us
going to
time to
release
put
the
everything on
exact date.
Teachable. We're moving
Yes.
everything to Teachable, more
Mhm.
streamlined. So it gives us about a month to get things up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's not that, I mean, the current students are getting the quality, but the next students are going to get the same
Well, we
quality,
keep
but it's going
upping
to
it.
be updated. Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
exact same thing we did with CRA Academy. We started at a lower price point and we keep it making improvements and then supply and demand, and we're at the point with CRC Academy now to where supply and demand. And we are able, if we charge more, just small increments more, we're able to provide huge ROI on that small incremental change in price. So I
Mhm.
think if you tell, if you ask most people who are trying to get a job, hey, would you pay extra couple $100 to have a much better chance of getting hired, everybody would say yes. They're not playing around in this space. So,
Not a brainer.
Mhm.
well, thank you both of you guys. This was very
Thank
good.
you.
I think if you're watching out there or listening, I mean, of course, we would love you in the CRC Academy or the CRA Academy, but like you heard from Ashley, the hustle is sold separately. You can do it all for free. We just set it all up nicely for you. We
Mhm.
can't eat the meal for you. You gotta eat the meal, but
Exactly.
we set the table. But if you're gonna go for free, you can have to set your own table, find your own ingredients. It's a lot harder. So ROI is there, but you are able to do this on your own too.
Mhm.
Thank you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good week, rest of the week and weekend.
You
Yeah,
too.
you enjoy your weekend.
Oh yes, your vacation in
Yeah.
Mexico.
Yeah, maybe I'll
That
try to
looks
join the Spanish Zoom call tomorrow, but I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, we have to create the Zoom.
right.
Okay, we'll do.
Sounds good.
All
All
right.
right, thank you guys. Everybody,
Thanks,
take
gang.
care.